You want to know how fast a perfect summer afternoon can turn into a nightmare? Let me tell you, it's a lot faster than you'd ever guess. I still remember that sound. The sizzle from the grill, the mindless chatter, my daughter's little fingers just barely brushing a stack of napkins by the drinks table. We were at a neighborhood barbecue, the kind of event you hope will finally make you feel normal for once, like maybe your family isn't always the odd one out. But the truth is, in places like Rosewood Gardens, some people don't want you to ever forget your place. Especially people like Julia Monroe. Julia was the self-proclaimed queen of our HOA. Always in a spotless floral dress, eyes like ice, the sort of smile that looked glued on. The whole neighborhood tiptoed around her, and I admit, for a while, so did I. But not that day. My daughter Ava, she's 9, sweet, shy, the kind of kid who notices everything but never wants to be noticed herself, clung to my hand a little tighter than usual as we crossed the shared lawn. She walks with a brace, which clicks softly every few steps, but she never complains. We just wanted to get through the day without a scene. But in Rosewood Gardens, scenes seemed to find us. Ava waited by the drinks table, not even reaching for food, just a napkin. So careful, so polite. And in a blink, Julia crossed the lawn, moving so quickly no one really saw it coming. Suddenly, she had Ava pinned against the picnic table, one hand clamped around my little girl's neck, the other crushing her chest, as if choking a disabled child over a napkin was somehow her right as president of the HOA. The whole world went cold. No one moved. Some people stared in horror, some looked away, like if they pretended not to see, they wouldn't have to pick a side. Ava's lips were turning blue. I didn't think, didn't breathe, I just moved. I grabbed the cast iron grill lid, my palm burning through the napkin I used to lift it, but I didn't care. Julia didn't see me coming until I was almost on her. Let go of her, I barked. She turned, still gripping my daughter's neck, spitting something about contaminating the food and kids with problems. Her words, not mine. Then she sneered. You people never know your place. That broke whatever patience I had left. I ripped her hand off Ava's neck and swung the grill lid into her face, steel against flesh, a sickening crack, a hiss, her scream. Julia fell to the grass, clutching her cheek, and the perfect curls she was so proud of were already smoldering. The imprint of the grill marked her face like a warning burned into her skin. No one stepped forward to help her. Not one. I pulled Ava into my arms, whispering, "It's over, baby, she won't touch you again." But Julia, writhing on the ground, glared up at me through her tears and blood, hissing, "You just assaulted the president of this HOA. You're going to prison." Before I could answer, I heard heavy boots behind me. Enter Martin, Julia's right hand, self-appointed security captain, the type who writes up noise violations at midnight and treats teenagers like criminals for breathing too loud. He rushed at me with a barbecue skewer like he was storming Normandy. I handed Ava to a stunned neighbor, stepped between Martin and my daughter, and in a single movement, redirected his charge, his own skewer now just an inch from his throat. "Try it," I said, low and steady. "Just one more step." Martin froze. He glanced at Julia, who was too busy moaning on the ground to notice her muscle had lost his nerve. The crowd watched in stunned silence, some already filming. "You think you're in charge here?" I leaned in. "You're not. This ends now. If you or Julia touch another kid, you'll answer to me." He backed down. Then, for the first time, I said it out loud, so everyone heard. "My name is Daniel Carter, and I'm a federal agent with Homeland Security." The air changed. Even the most self-righteous neighbors suddenly remembered how to look ashamed. Julia started screaming about lawsuits, power, how she was the victim, but nobody came to her rescue. It wasn't long before the police arrived. Julia launched into her performance, pointing at her bandaged face, playing the martyr. But when the officers saw Ava, with bruises around her neck and fear still in her eyes, the story changed. One officer asked me quietly, "What happened?" I showed them the marks on Ava, the videos neighbors had started to share. The evidence was there. Julia was handcuffed, her reign broken not just by law, but by the weight of her own actions finally crashing down. You might think that's where the story ends, but life's never that neat. In Rosewood Gardens, power doesn't just fade away overnight. The next morning, I walked into an emergency HOA meeting. This time not as a neighbor, but as the guy with a file in hand. Everything I'd found, fines targeted at minority families, HOA board members using funds for personal gain, surveillance of residents. All of it led straight back to Julia Monroe. The board tried to save face, but one by one, hands went up for her removal. 5 votes. Unanimous. Her name came off the plaque, her power stripped for good. I left the meeting to find Ava sitting under a tree with her sketchbook. She was drawing a picture, me, standing tall, shielding her from a dark, looming figure. She titled it Protector. My throat tightened. For all my training, for everything I'd ever done in my job, that moment, seeing my little girl feel safe again, meant more than any commendation. Of course, Julia still had to face a real judge. The courtroom was cold, the air thick with the smell of old paper and disappointment. Julia's face, wrapped in bandages, looked nothing like the woman who once ruled our lives with HOA memos and threats. The judge listed her crimes: assault on a minor, hate crime enhancements, abuse of authority. Julia took a plea, probation, counseling, community service, a restraining order, and a lifetime ban from any HOA. Her empire, gone. Afterward, as we left the courthouse, reporters tried to get a statement. I didn't stop. Ava, arms around my neck, whispered, "Will she come back?" I shook my head. Not to us, not to anyone. That night, there were no celebrations, just the quiet of our living room and a movie Ava liked, popcorn between us on the couch. Halfway through, she reached for my hand. "You're not angry anymore?" she asked. I looked at her, at the strength she showed, the trust she kept. "No, sweetie, I'm not angry. I'm proud." A week later, the neighborhood was quieter. No more loudspeaker announcements, no more checklists taped to doors. The grass Julia once obsessed over grew a little wild, and nobody complained. Ava and I went back to that park, stood by the same cracked pavement where it all happened, and let the silence fill in what fear used to crowd out. "She can't come near us, right?" Ava asked. I knelt, looked her in the eyes. "Not now, not ever." She hesitated, then asked, "But what if someone else tries?" I glanced at the tree where she used to sit, sketching quietly, unnoticed. "Then they'll answer to someone like me," I said. "And maybe, just maybe, like her." It's funny, you know? The HOA used to make everyone afraid. Of fines, of gossip, of being the next target. Now, neighbors wave as they pass, the lawn's a little messier, the rules a little looser, and for the first time, peace feels real. But what sticks with me most isn't Julia's fall, or the courtroom, or even the videos that went viral after. It's the realization that justice isn't always about punishment. It's about making sure the people you love can breathe easy, sleep sound, and feel safe, even after monsters take off their masks. So let me ask you, if you'd been standing there that day, would you have stepped up? Would you let a title, a uniform, or a crowd's silence decide what's right? Or would you find your own voice, even if it burned? Tell me in the comments, what does justice mean to you? Do you think communities ever really change? Or is it always just another name on the next plaque? If this story hit home, like, share, and let's talk about it. Because there's always another Julia somewhere, and the only thing that beats their power is the moment someone finally says, "No more."